Hello everyone, welcome to Venom Guidance. This is Dr. Anuja Sharma. Now, in our last video, we talked about the basic principle behind NMR spectroscopy and the chemical shift. Now, in this video, we're going to talk about the instrumentation of NMR spectroscopy and some applications of NMR spectroscopy. So, NMR spectrophotometer or NMR spectrometer is used as an instrument in NMR spectroscopy. So, let's get started. Now, NMR spectrophotometer, it basically consists of some main parts. For example, sample cell, then you have your magnets, then you have sweep cell, sweep generator, RF transmitter, RF receiver and amplifier, and a recorder. So the sample cell is the main part and it contains the sample, and the sample cell is present inside the sample cavity. Now, to maintain a uniform exposure of magnetic field to the sample cell is rotating at a speed of around 30 revolutions per second to maintain that uniform exposure of magnetic field to all the sample. Now, the sample cell, it is placed between two permanent magnets, and these magnets are the ones that provide the magnetic field, and they can provide up to from 60 to 100 megahertz of magnetic field depending on the instrument. And then between the sample cell and the magnets are the sweep cells. Now this sample cell, it is surrounded by a superconducting coil for the magnetic field. Now next we have the sweep generator. Now sweep generator, they do not provide the magnetic field, but these are required to modify the magnetic field. So they can modify the magnetic field depending on how much magnetic field, how much exposure is required. The sweep generator can modify the strength of the magnetic field. Then we have a radio frequency transmitter. Now this basically provides a strong pulse of a uniform pulse of radio frequency, and depending on the resolution of the NMR spectrophotometer, it can provide between 60 to 400 megahertz range of radio frequency depending on what is the resolution of the spectrophotometer that you're using. Then we have the RF receiver and amplifier. Now the nuclei of your atom, when it absorbs the radio frequency, it is going to move from ground state to the excited state, and later on it is going to come back from that excited state to the ground state. So when it comes back from the excited state to the ground state, it is going to emit some radio frequency. Now radio frequency receiver and amplifier, or radio frequency detector, it is going to detect that radio frequency emitted by your sample, and then it further amplifies that radio frequency so that it can be recorded by the recorder. Now the recorder is the final component of your spectrophotometer. Now this recorder, it is going to analyze the NMR signal. It is going to receive and analyze the NMR signal, and then it can convert the data into a spectrum. So recorder is the one that produces the spectrum. It can be recorder plus a computer, and that spectrum can be used to determine the functional groups present in your sample. Now in case of NMR spectroscopy, solvents are very important. Solvents which are used for sample, they're very important. They have some important features that you should keep in mind when you're selecting a solvent. There should be some important features to keep in mind. First of all, your solvent should lack the hydrogen atom. Now this is because in NMR spectroscopy, when you're analyzing an organic compound, it is on the basis of the hydrogen atom, on the basis of the proton. So if your solvent also contains hydrogen atom, it is going to interfere with NMR spectroscopy. It is going to create a problem. So that's why they should lack hydrogen atom. Now they should be magnetic. They should have magnetic isotropy. That means they should be magnetically, they should be neutral. Then they should be chemically inert so that they don't interfere with the whole process. Then they should be volatile enough to recover your sample. And last but not the least, any solvent that you're using, they should be inexpensive to control the cost of your process. Now some of the examples of the solvents that can be used in NMR spectroscopy are carbon tetrachloride, deuterated water, deuterated chloroform, and deuterated acetic acid. Let's look at the interpretation of NMR spectra and how you can determine different structural properties of a particular compound. Now, chemical shift on the NMR spectra is described as the unit ppm. So, this is determined by H reference minus H substrate or H substance or H sample into H of machine into 106. Now H is a resonance frequency. So H reference is the resonance frequency of the reference that you're using. Then minus H substance is the resonance frequency of your substance or your sample, multiplied by reference frequency of your machine into 106. Now since chemical shift is determined by the difference from a reference frequency. So for NMR spectroscopy and to determine the structural groups of your sample, you actually require a reference. So you require a reference peak in your graph, in your spectrum, for comparison and for accurate measurements or calculation of chemical shift. Okay, so in case of 1H and 13C NMR, tetramethylsilane TMS can be used as a reference for a reference peak to compare and to accurately measure the chemical shift, which will be required to determine the structural group present in your compound. Now tetramethylsilane is used for various reasons, one of which is it is chemically and magnetically inert. Then it has a sharp and single peak. So it has a sharp and single peak at 0 ppm, 0 chemical shift. Then it is soluble with most of the solvents. So tetramethylsilane can be used as a reference in 1H and 13C NMR spectroscopy. Now chemical shift can be used to identify the different structural groups present in a compound using a reference or using different ranges of reference of the different groups which are present in a compound or which can be present in a group in a compound. So if you look at a spectra, you have a sharp and single peak of tetramethylsilane on 0 ppm, unit ppm. You have this reference peak for comparison, and if you look at these different peaks from the spectrum, you can get the chemical shift of these different peaks from your graph, which can be calculated using resonance frequency. Now for both 1H and 13C NMR, you can have a reference list where you have the group and you can have the range of chemical shift. So you have different range. For example, you have a range from 3 to 5 for a particular group, or you have a range of 7 to 8 or 8.5 for a particular group. From this reference range, you can identify different structural groups from your spectra from this reference, and you can calculate your chemical shift from this particular formula. So with a reference, with your spectrum, and with this range of different chemical shift for different groups, you can identify different structural groups present in your compound. Now next, let's discuss some of the applications of NMR spectroscopy. So NMR spectroscopy can be used for quantitative assay of one or more components of a sample. It can be used to determine the percentage of hydrogen atom, to determine the chain length of a polymer. Next, it can be used to determine the properties of a molecule. So it can be used to determine isomerism, tautomerism, and different hydrogen bonding present in a molecule. Now, NMR spectroscopy can also be used for structure elucidation of different compounds. So, organic compounds consist of hydrogen atom, and NMR spectroscopy can be used to determine the number of hydrogen atom, the types of hydrogen atom, their placement, the position on the compound, and their different features. And this can be used to determine the structure of a particular organic compound. Now, in research, NMR spectroscopy is also used to determine the content and purity of a sample, and it can also be used to determine the molecular structure of that particular sample. Then it can be used to determine the protein structure, and in fact NMR spectroscopy has recently been replacing X-ray crystallography to determine the protein structure. Now solid state NMR spectroscopy can be used to determine the molecular structure of a solid.